future opportunities for us. And then we'll go into an open forum, and we'll just conversation. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Big Mike.
Our fearless leader. Yay!
Hey!
Hey, Tony, tell him he's on mute.
Hey, Mike, you on mute?
No, I'm not on mute.
He's just pretending
He's
to be,
pretending.
which is very funny.
I'm sorry. I was dropped on my head as a child. So hopefully you see Incab America 2022 end of year review.
Yes.
Yes.
Yay. All right. So we ended the year basically at $30 million, which was our target. Strong growth around 50% compared to 2021. New orders, we ended the year at 37 million, which meant we blew past our target. Still strong growth compared to 2021. We'd have done more if we hadn't had the issues, shall we say, in Ukraine. Plan for this year is more strong growth, 45 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
We can do it. Gotta hustle, but we can do it. So here's where we are at the start of the year. So on materials, fiber prices, we've not had a price increase since the second quarter of last year. Corning has prepped us for maybe a 3% rise to hit this quarter, but we'll see. You know, there are some factors that might argue against it, but then on the other hand, general market demand is so strong that that does seem to argue in its favor, but it's really in the category of we'll have to wait and see what they say. Other materials, steel is down for us year over year. Aluminum is slightly up. Pardon?
Wow.
Y'all are still seeing steel go up?
Up until this quarter, or up until fourth quarter, yes.
Yeah. So we're seeing a trend down recently. So compared to January of a year ago, aluminum we've seen up and starting to trend back up. Aramid and polyethylene, no price increases since the third quarter. Actually had thought that maybe polyethylene would go down, but our suppliers kept ducking our questions about that. On the other hand, I noticed when I came into work this morning that gas is now $3.10 a gallon, whereas last Friday it was like $2.90. So I don't know what the heck is up. It's down, it's up, it's down again. Who knows? Whatever. For us, our supply chain has stabilized. The worst, knock on wood, seems to be behind us. We have recently struggled with aluminum-clad steel wire, but that's gotten better. We've received container yesterday, today, and we expect another one tomorrow. So we're kind of in ACS heaven at the moment. Tubes are still an issue with us, but I'll talk about what we're doing to get that fixed. So where are we at? Well, for OPGW, basically 26 to 28 weeks. So we've, and unfortunately, I don't see that getting better until maybe, possibly, perhaps late in the year. We've just had very strong order entry on OPGW, and it just doesn't seem to be letting up. And we can't get capacity expanded fast enough. We'll see.
Way to go, Bobby.
Yeah,
Trying, baby.
Yeah, part of it is FPL, which is you guys. So
yay.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, as I frantically type notes and such, allow me to ask, are you going to send any of this information to us?
Yeah, you guys can have a copy of this.
Okay. Thank you.
And we record these sessions, so you can refer to them later. You know, if you're having difficulty sleeping one night, you can pull this back up and watch it again. You know, it's available to you. Or maybe you have somebody that you want to see it, who wasn't able to make it today, like maybe the little lady at home, for example.
Yeah.
We make the recordings available to you, and Alexis can get you a copy of the slides as well. So for ADSS and dielectric, so relax and enjoy the show. Yes, don't focus on taking notes. ADSS were a little bit better, and cautiously optimistic that that'll get better, closer, but still not quite back to historical norm by the end of the year. On-time delivery for the year is 86%. Of the 14% that's late, 80% of the time we're less than a week late. We do a good job of trying to let people know ahead of time. We take our delivery commitment seriously, and knock on wood, we've not missed any outages for anybody.
That's awesome.
So what are all of our evil competitors up to? Well, AFL is still out there with the corporate bipolar disorder problem. High, low, we can deliver it next week, we can deliver it next year. They're just all over the freaking map. Some customers, they are absolutely great. We love AFL. Go away, please. Other customers, we had a meeting this morning with a customer who's a long-standing AFL customer and not fully satisfied with what they've been getting. So there's no real pattern to it. Prismian for OPGW has pretty much disappeared from the market. We just don't hear from them at all. For dielectric cables, including ADSS, quite a different story. They're still a formidable competitor. However, we are very competitive against them for ADSS, not so much for armored cable, but we're about to fix the armored cable problem. You'll understand why in a few slides. And recent development was that they had actually won a 400,000 foot order for 288 fiber armored cable. They had the purchase order in their grubby little hands and then told the customer, sorry, we can't guarantee Corning fiber.
Huh.
This did lead the customer to cancel the order with them and place it with us. It was such an emotionally moving experience. I'm still having difficulty getting over it. So that's an interesting development. And Tim will talk about a similar development with the very evil guys at AFL in his portion of this. SFPOC, we're going to wait to the next slide. For ADSS, though, and dielectric cable, they are not quoting any new business. Yay. They are, though, taking care of selected customers, but they are still shedding other customers. It's giving us opportunities throughout the country, and we're just loving it, how to say. Other competitors, Sterlite, they still are telling people that they've got this new factory in South Carolina. Is it really a factory or is it just a distribution center? Truth is, don't really know. You can expect Chinese level pricing with Chinese level quality, service, and support from Sterlite. So keep an eye out for them. SFPOC, I said I would talk about on this slide, and it's this slide. So let's talk about them. They've been very quiet, except for some very large projects out west and American Electric Power. We're not seeing them out there. Certainly, they're not beating the bushes. We're just not running up against them much. Don't know why. Last on this slide, CommScope is another supplier that's now, like OFS, telling people, sorry, we're not accepting new purchase orders. So yay us, or good for us, except that it may mean that we're not able to get our lead times back where we would like them to be. If we get this kind of onrush of new business, maybe it'll jam us up. We'll see. Now we'll go to news from each of our regions. First up, the East region where you guys are in. So Tony.
2023, big year, $16 million for this year. How are we gonna do it? Well, I currently have quite a few blankets. FPNL, PPL, Eversource, First Energy, GTC, Power South. And I'd say of the 16, I'm anticipating between just these blankets alone, I'll probably be looking at about 12, 13 million for this year. New blankets that I want to add for this year, Sante Cooper, AEP, First Energy, and there's the border states. We had a border states ATC call today, so I'm hoping that it'll turn into a blanket too. Because if you have blankets, it's gravy.
Blankets keep you warm and comfy.
Yes.
Okay, let's keep moving. That was awful. Next up, West. You're up, Dan.
Yes, sir. Well, the West is struggling forward. We continue to make contact and get new opportunities with new customers. We're going to get pieces of business with this utility and that utility. The biggest one we had last year was, as far as strategic customers, are Pacific Corp, which is part of the Berkshire Hathaway Group. We're working with some of the bigger utilities and construction companies. Barnard was fairly new this year. They're working on Transwest. Core Electric Cooperative is going to be a new opportunity for us. We're working on that right now. Evergy, Black Hills Power, Spartan Infrastructure. These are all EPC/contractors that we hope to work with on some of these larger projects. The biggest thing that's going to help us this year is having more capacity, and the fact that we have a strong contract with Corning Fiber. That's going to come down to being the difference in a lot of these projects, because our competitors are struggling getting enough Corning Fiber to do what they want this year. And we have enough committed to us to meet our sales objectives. Our new building that Mike is talking about, we think that's going to be a real show place for the industry, containing a lot of state-of-the-art equipment. And it's going to give a customer a lot of confidence in our ability to provide them with a quality product. We have one major blanket right now, and that's with Encore in Texas. We continually do a good job with them, and we're splitting the orders with AFL. But as soon as our capacity increases, they're going to give us more of a percentage of that business than AFL. So everything's going our way there. Our customers are liking what we're doing. In some cases, we're just, we're struggling right now with capacity and getting the cable in when they would like it. But we're continuing to do a good job developing the West. Thank you.
Hey, guys, just a curiosity. You've mentioned a couple of people are having trouble getting fiber. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be a issue for Incab. How are you so successful in keeping your fiber source strong?
Those contracts were negotiated when Alexander was still here. I don't know everything that's involved with that, but I'm sure Mike does.
It's our dashing good looks and sparkling personality.
Sparkling personality.
Oh, and did I mention business savvy?
Sorry, you failed to mention that, but we all knew that, Mike. It was just part of the. It goes without saying, brother.
I think we have an excellent relationship with Corning on the fiber side, and I think it's really because we're like one of the few independent cable companies left in the world. I mean, I'd like to say it's my dashing good looks and sparkling personality and business savvy, but the reality is that like OFS. Well, OFS uses OFS glass, from the Furukawa family, for example. So, Corning has no love for them. Prysmian is a large customer, but Prysmian bought Draka, and so Prysmian pushes their own fiber, under their, I forget Tim, what's the brand name they use?
I guess
Teralight or something?
oh gosh, yeah.
Well, whatever. They have their own fiber. It's Draka. They bought some Draka facility years ago. It's not the latest technology or anything, but they've sort of rebranded it as their own. And, in that sense, they're a little bit of a competitor to Corning. And they're going out and telling people, yeah, our glass is better than Corning because of whatever. Or at least, it's just as good or something like that. But basically, it undercuts a little bit their relationship with Corning. And AFL actually is in the same category because they're part of Fujikura. So they do a fair amount of trying to push Fujikura on the side. Whereas Incab, we took the Corning pledge and we process 95% of our fiber is Corning. And the 5% or so that's not is because of one of two situations. Either a customer has specifically requested OFS True Wave in contrast to Leaf. So they've wanted a particular fiber, which comes from a particular competitor of Corning, or it's multimode fiber. And it's sort of the same situation where the customer specifications drive you to a Draka multimode fiber instead of Corning's fiber. So we're considerably more loyal than either AFL or Prysmian. And I do think that gives us a little bit of an edge when it comes to getting fiber from Corning. And then I have to be also candid, though, we're a lot smaller than AFL or Prysmian. So, we get our full allocation and we're happy, but they may be not getting their full allocation and unhappy, but their allocation is probably a lot bigger than ours.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes. You're committed to them. They're committed to you. If they're running tight on fiber, they're going to give it to you for your loyalty as opposed to the other guys who make their own and only use the Corning fiber when they have to. So you're one hand washes the other here.
Yeah, all those other companies draw their own fiber.
Right.
And like I say, there are not too many independent cable companies out there anymore. And of the ones that do exist, we're probably one of the bigger ones. So on balance. So, and then it's a long-standing relationship. So Alexander, he started with Corning back in 2007. So we're more than 15 years as taking the Corning pledge. So that counts for something too. So we have long-standing personal relationships with the key people at Corning. Okay, to keep moving, Tim, you're up.
All right, yeah, and I'll expand really quick too with Prysmian because Prysmian is really big in the tier 1, tier 2 market as well, and so a lot of those, you start getting into the Verizons and AT&Ts. A lot of those are going to have Corning specifically spec'd in. So in the case of Prysmian, my guess is what happened. They got this PO for Buckeye Electric that we ended up getting, and honestly, there's probably just another larger customer that they wanted to take care of instead. So my guess is on their larger tier 1 contracts, they've probably already got a lot of that allocation already spoken for from those customers.
Okay.
So that plays into it as well.
It can't be, Tim, that they gave priority to a bigger customer.
I know, right? Shocking.
Shocking. Absolutely
shocking. But yeah, obviously, that was a big with that Buckeye Electric. That was a big win. So I'll start with that one since we're already there. They won. The order came back, and then so we had actually another big part that played into this was when we initially quoted the cable. We quoted it with call it standard production with bringing the armored cable in from Europe. So we were considerably higher. I think Prysmian's price on that was 207 or 210 a foot, and we quoted it was about 265 initially. So once the distributor came back, they approached us and asked if we could requote, and we basically worked on some delivery timetables to help us shift to domestic production. And with doing that, our price came down to where we could actually match Prysmian's pricing. And on that one, and one other thing I'm working to get is I know AFL bid on that as well on the rebid, and we beat out AFL. So that was an awesome order for us, and I think too, just from a general where we stand in the market from a pricing standpoint. The new equipment and the new facilities we've got are going to really help us, I think, find a really good sweet spot across all of our product lines on the black jacket cables. One other big ad for us was bringing in Irby's telecom group out of Jonesboro, Arkansas. They act as a turnkey for fiber to the home projects. They've got a handful of projects they're working on. So they had also been getting cable from Prysmian and from AFL, and they're a Corning shop essentially. So a couple interesting things that we got out of AFL or got out of Irby about AFL was back in November, AFL told Irby that Corning was raising their glass price at the end of the year, and that it was going to be a 25% price hike. So
Wow.
obviously, like you heard Mike talk about, we haven't had any raises in our glass in quite a few months. So, my guess is our theory is that essentially they didn't change their prices at all in 2022. And they took their polyethylene increase, the glass increase, all their raw material increases, and just lumped them all in starting the beginning of this year. The other thing that AFL started doing is they started giving them quotes, and they started to try to push Irby more towards their own glass, but apparently have also included quotes with Draka glass as well. So that's kind of been an interesting development as well, them quoting Draka glass in their cable. So continue to try to dig into a little bit more into that as well. But the good thing out of it is they placed a $4 million ADSS PO with us for 2023. And as of last week, they're actually looking at coming back and placing more orders because of the glass and because it's Corning. So definitely going to be a big partner for us this year and moving forward. And then lastly, in terms of looking at non-ADSS blackjack cables, like the armored cables, the duct cables, that actually made up about $6.3 million of our sales from last year. So a lot of growth in call it non-standard utility cables, right, with the ADSS. And again, with the new equipment and everything coming into Texas, I expect those types of cables to continue to grow at a rapid rate. And again, right, it goes back to the demand and what we're seeing of lack of suppliers being able to meet it. And then lastly, we have quite a few projects that the customers come back to us through phase 2, phase 3, and have placed multiple orders. We've got Blue Ridge Electric Co-op in South Carolina. We're currently in the second year with a contract on them. We've got Habersham EC in Northeast Georgia. They've placed a couple orders, and they've got a project coming up that's about 650 miles that we know we're going to get that. And then Lafayette Utilities in Lafayette, Louisiana. So they're a municipality, and the great thing about that is they basically worded their spec around us to a point that it pretty much the only company that could compete with us would be Corning. They wrote it in a way that basically blocked everybody else from being able to get in there. We did, I think it was something like $1.5 million worth of orders from them over the last 9 months. And we're currently waiting on another PO that's supposed to be at minimum about 1.5 million. So just from an image and keeping the name out there, it's nice to have now some long-standing big projects that we can go back and say these guys have been using our cable for the last 2 years. So that's awesome to see. So looking forward to another big year for us.
Wow.
Cool. Thanks, Tim. We'll keep going and over to Leo.
guys, good afternoon. This is more informative for you guys. Well, my target for this year is it's just 5.5 millions. I do not speak like 10 or millions, like hundreds. But well, yeah, basically we have been focusing different industries trying to avoid this war against Chinese companies without tariff in the region. So I target different industries like oil and gas, especially in Ecuador and in Argentina. But also I have some customers in Peru for the mining and power utility industry too. The Caribbean, definitely one of the target for us, basically because we are pretty close. One of our most important customer there is Digicel, which is one of the largest telecommunication company with presence in almost all the countries in the region, especially in the Caribbean and some countries in South and Central America. Other market that I've been working with is sensing cable. It's used the fiber optic as a sensing. It's a different animal. But taking advantage of the cable already installed or they gonna install in any project, they can use some fibers to sense different physical parameters. So yeah, we have been working with different companies, especially in Peru, one of the largest transmission companies, I should say, in the world. They're interested in some solutions, but also in Costa Rica, we have a very good customer, and some other customers in Central America, like CEPAC, which is the interconnection between Costa Rica and Guatemala, considering all the countries in the middle of this interconnection. But also some piping lines like RECOV, and it's about 500 kilometers of project. But basically that, guys, not only telecommunication or the traditional power utility industry, but also another industry that I've been working with and that I expect to harvest during this year.
So is the political unrest in
Thanks, Leo.
Peru causing you any concern, given how much
I don't think so.
you're focused?
Definitely, yeah. Peru, that is one of my most important country that they have been having a lot of problems, especially
A lot.
So
Lima's been
now,
blockaded for a week now.
yeah, we were putting a lot of eggs on this basket. So, well, now there too much uncertainty there. So, well, just wait, just patience.
I guess the other thing I'm curious about is you mentioned sensing cables. What are you doing with sensing cables for optics?
Yeah, with the sensing, you can sense pressure, temperature, but also vibrations. So you can use not only the to detect, for example, leaking on pipelines, but also you can avoid or sensing the lightning strike on transmission lines it's also used to sense intrusions as a security systems. Yeah, that there are many opportunities there that we can explore, or you can explore in the region.
Yeah, I know in Europe, for example, with the sensing cables, a lot of the electric utilities out there use them. They'll put the sensing cables in the ground around electric substations, and the equipment that it hooks into can pick up and tell the difference between a person walking up to a substation, an animal, or like a truck driving up to it. So they'll use that in conjunction with cameras for security around substations and other equipment. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, you can also differentiate between activities such as a train going by or a backhoe excavating. So
Very interesting.
yeah, we've got a whole webinar on fiber optic sensing possibilities for electric utilities. So
Yeah, I have
look
to
for
make
that.
sure I have to make sure I pay attention to that one. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
there is.
Yes.
There's a lot going on in the world of sensing. So other
Cool.
things that went on last year, well, you guys already know we changed our ownership and our leadership. So we're owned by ICG. They now have their own website and they come up on a DNB report. We need to make some further refinements there, but basic information is available. We added a lot of employees on the professional staff. A couple of key ones would be a new HR manager and an accounting controller, Randy Hightower. On the production floor, we added 22 employees in
Wow.
22 for 22.
Nice.
But for 23, it's 31, not 23. So, and we've mentioned we have this new building. The story there is you may recall that we've added a third building. But we ran into a couple of problems with that third building. It was supposed to be our world dielectric cable production headquarters. But it ran into a problem with we needed to upgrade the power, and Encore, our local utility, told us 37 weeks to get a new transformer. Ouch. Just as much of an ouch is that we needed to add HVAC to the building. Well, apparently the days of if you want to air condition your shack out back, you just go buy an air conditioner and stick it on the top of your shack are gone. That's more or less what we did in our current building, but no. Now you have to have permits, because of this US law and that state law and this city law. La la.
La la la.
We just ran into permitting hell with the city of Arlington trying to get that space air conditioned, plus the power problem. So we had an opportunity kind of fall in our laps to get a building that already has the power that we need and already has air conditioning. And so,
Yay.
and it gives us about 30% more space for growth. So we jumped at the opportunities. So I'm expecting to sign the lease agreement this week, and we'll have all of our operations under one roof roughly by the end of the year. You know, we can't just decide on any given day. Yeah, I think we'll move the strander today because that's a big undertaking and we have a lot of orders. So we'll have to wait for a suitable opportunity, but we're going to consolidate operations under one roof about 15 minutes north of our current location.
So you are going to move all the equipment, all the stranders and everything is all going to be moved to this new facility.
Yeah, we'll move everything. We will operate under one roof.
And what do you think that's going to, how much of a disruption is that going to be to production, Mike?
Zero.
Huh.
That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, the way that strander is going to operate, you know, on the truck on the way over there, I'm going to look forward to seeing that. That's going to be pretty cool stuff.
What we'll do is we have the luxury of having a second strander en route. So we'll wait until this, we'll install the second strander first in the new building, and then we'll install the first strander second in the new building.
Got it.
And we probably, because of, order commitments, we probably will not move the original strander until around this time next year. Maybe in December, but more likely January of next year.
Got it.
So planned disruption.
So you're adding capacity before you're taking the capacity away. So you're going to be net even until the new machine, till the old machine moves.
Yes,
Yeah.
we will have some. Well, we will have some operational inefficiency during the time period when we're stranding in two different locations. but that's manageable.
Fair enough.
So other stuff coming for 2023. We already have all of this equipment. It's in the building that we can't get the power upgraded or the space air conditioned, but it's physically there. We can show you, you can touch it and feel it. You can't watch it operate because there ain't no power. A little bit of an exaggeration, but so we have a fiber coloring line, a dielectric loose tube line, a dielectric stranding line, sometimes called a cabling line, another extrusion line, and then an armoring line. And we already have all of this equipment. We're working to get the new building, and then next month we should be able to start moving in and setting up this equipment and getting it running. In addition, we have 2 wire rewinders to support the new strander, but those are already up and running in our existing building. Gives us an opportunity to go ahead and work the bugs out. That second strander is on order. It is supposed to ship in March. It should be operational late July or early August. But, you know, that's the busy season for us, so we'll keep stranding going here and there until we have enough of a lull that we can tear down the existing strander and move it to the new building. We also have a tubing line for the steel tubing. That's should ship next month, and it should be operational by June.
So you're going to make your own tubes?
We will make our own tubes.
Wow,
So
cool. All
all of this here will make us independent on the dielectric cable. So ADSS, duct cable, armored cable, whatever. We'll be 100% independent basically within the next 6 months, between now and say June. And then we're going to be working to be 100% independent on OPGW. Not initially, we'll only be about 85% because we can't make the aluminum pipe. The type AP or the Alumicore design, we can't make that pipe here yet. So that'll probably fall into next year, but the vision is still there to do it. We'll have to continue to get that out of Europe from partnerships that we have with companies in Italy and Spain and Austria. But we're working on it. All of it will mean improved cost structure, better lead times, and a total capacity of around 5 to 6 million feet per month.
and what will your
all cable
OPGW
types.
capacity be, Mike?
OPGW capacity will be about, oh, shoot, I worked that number out recently. With one strander, sorry,
Okay.
I'd rather do the math than go off my memory.
That's because you're the engineer. Sales guy. Yeah, we're going to use about.
It's about 130 miles a month currently with one strander. The second strander effectively doubles it.
130 miles a month. So you'll be north of 200 miles a month 8 months from now or thereabouts.
Yes.
A mile is 5,000 feet.
Yeah. So then if I put that by feet, yeah, so the
700,000 feet a month.
Yeah, the OPGW contribution here is about 700,000 feet per month.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty strong.
That'll go up by the end of the year. Now,
Very strong.
a lot of variables go into that. You know, you guys will understand if I make 100 reels and they're all exactly the same, I can do that a lot more efficiently than if I make 100 reels and every single one of them is different. You know, different
sir.
cable design, different length, blah, 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 blah. But 5 to 6 million feet is a conservative number. So yes, is it possible we could do 7? Because we're making 100 reels for FPL and everything is all the same? Yes. Could it be a little bit less? Maybe. But I'm pretty conservative when I do numbers like this.
Just a stick on the wall number, Mike, just to, to have in my mind. So when we see an inquiry coming in, it's like, hey, what's that worth? Now, or how much capacity is that? I'd love to be able to tell the client, oh, that million feet, You know, that's 6 weeks worth. Don't even get excited. That's not even going to make you in our top 10 customers. You got to do better than that.
Yeah, well, you know, a funny story I've been telling for years is when I first started working with Incab on, you know, when I was at Brugg, but we were looking at partnering with Incab for ADSS. One of the questions I asked them was, what was your capacity? Because I needed to know roughly, was I going to be able to supply ADSS when people would need it? And my contact said, at the time, said, yeah, we could get a container out the door in about 2 weeks. And I said, really? Just how much can you guys produce? And they said, you know, it depends, but around 3 to 4 million feet a month.
A month.
And I said, a month?
Yeah.
Do you mean a year? No, a month. Yeah, that was their capacity at the time. Now
Wow.
they can do more. And you know, 3 to 4 million, that was what Brugg could do in a year. That was a year figure for them. So yeah, we're just good at spitting out cable efficiently. So okay, keep moving.
That's exciting.
So here's that new building up the road 15 minutes or so. Note the beautiful blue sky. Other things, so we're going to be continuing the webinars this year. In fact, the first one is on Thursday. It's an encore performance of my OPGW engineering. Throughout the year, we'll be doing a mix of classic topics and new topics. We're always open to topics. You know, if you hear anything, let us know. Be glad to do it. Our first trade show of the year is Tech Advantage in Nashville in early March. You can see here the other big ones that we'll be supporting. And yeah, that covers it for me. What questions you guys got?
I sort of went as I went along. I know
Okay.
that's shocking.
Tony, do you have anything?
No, they're doing a great job. Getting a ton of business from y'all. Bob, Frank, John, a lot of opportunities. Nextera, FPNL, you kick booty this last year, Bob.
A
Definitely.
couple of big projects that aren't likely to be repeated next year, but it sure is a nice year right now. So we'll suck that up while we wait to see what they actually plan.
Hey, Tim, can you expound upon the agreement with Irby and what the scope of that is, and just give a little more detail?
Yeah. So they've got, like I said, so they, they're not at the level of a Connexon in regard to them providing. Sorry about the background noise. I'm at a coffee shop in North Carolina. I'm not at home, but so they're not kind of, let's say, going at like a Connexon where they're picking up projects all over the country, but their telecom group is out of Denver, Arkansas. So they've got a handful of customers, I think, that were already really good utility customers, and like in Mississippi, for example, which is where most of our cable has gone to. They basically said to their telecom group, hey, can you guys also do the engineering and the construction? So they pretty much kind of took it from there, and again, kind of get going from engineering to construction, and then sourcing. So with them, basically what happened is that they had a couple of new projects come up, and again with the issues with Prysmian and AFL, weren't able to get added capacity there. So basically, I took samples of ours and went to a couple customers in Mississippi. And this is both ADSS cable and some figure eight. Basically, took our product there and said, hey, here's it's going to be called Incab. They use Corning glass. We just want to make sure you guys are good with it. And the customer signed off on it, and said, and then pretty much kind of took it from there. So, like I said, I don't have any more info on what their additional needs are. I know we've quoted them some micro cable, and we've quoted them some armored cable as well. So yeah, that's for the most part, that's the extent of it. Like that, I don't anticipate them, calling us up and saying, "Hey, we got a fiber to the home project in Oregon." Yeah, I think they're kind of sticking kind of more centrally around where the telecom group is out of in Arkansas,
Okay.
as far as I know.
It's their telecom group though, like a telecom packaging group.
Correct. Yeah. So they've got a warehouse there where it's only fiber to the home type stuff, splice enclosures, cable, vaults, pedestals, things like that. And they've got ADSS hardware as well. But yeah, they don't have anything transformer wise. But now they're only really working with utilities though. They're not going and working with, as far as I know, they're not going and working with like a rural telephone cooperative, right? It's all utilities that are doing fiber to the home.
Okay, and it's going well, right? We're supporting them well.
Yes.
And how long have we been doing it?
So let's say we sold them a bunch of figure 8 cable. Probably, God, it's probably been a year since they took the first, some first large deliveries of figure 8.
Okay. Just so you know where I'm going, we've got a relationship with the guy that heads up their Irby's transmission packaging group. So I think I'm going to have a chat with him about what they've been doing for their transmission projects, and I might come to you with a request for some contacts at that communications group, just so he can cross-check what a great company we are. And
yeah, absolutely. And I've got a good relationship going up to the VP of their telecom group. So yeah, if he needs to get in touch with somebody or need name, it'll be some guys at a high level.
Okay. I got to call this guy anyway and laugh at him about the Bills losing. So be good timing.
Yeah, just give me a shout and let me know. Happy to help any way I can.
Okay. Thank you.
So do you guys have anything big targets this year? Any new customers that you want to go after?
No, we know all the utilities in Florida. Thanks. I haven't seen any pop up in the overnight period.
Okay, so no other customers, just the ones you know about.
Yeah. So
Got it.
because I'm just bound and determined and stubborn, I really want to crack OUC because the guy that's in charge of the fiber there refuses to approve anybody else other than AFL, and has been that way for 20 years. So I just want to, that's my target. It's a little Don Quixote-ish, but by golly, I don't.
That's like me, quite honestly. My target before I retire is AEP.
Yeah.
I would
Is that
love.
Mark Hoover by any chance?
No. It's Fred Urban is in the communications group. Mark would be a piece of cake. Fred is
Okay.
Fred is pretty stubborn.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah, there's two customers I was never able to crack in my career, and that's AEP and the Southern Company.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look promising, but I got hopes for AEP that when this new contract bids out.
Well, I'll make it quick. There once was a guy at OUC that refused to approve my power transformers, and now for the last 5 years, we've supplied all of them to them. It took him retiring, and it took me 25, and it took me 25 years, but by golly, I got there.
It seems like that's the way it is, though. You guys got to go to work somewhere else or retire.
Richard, let us know what we can do to support you. I know OUC before it was a guy named John Dillingham. It was the same thing. They did end up buying some cable from Brugg in like the late 90s or early aughts, but it was like over his objections.
Yeah, and Fred is a lot like John, except he's a lot more polite and nowhere near as big of an asshole as John was.
Yeah.
So,
but the thing of it is that AFL has, they've been around obviously for a long time, and everybody knows them. but they really don't. I mean, AFL, people think of them as Alcoa, but they've had no connection with Alcoa for so long. I don't think they even have any of the old Alcoa values anymore. And then their best customers like OUC are probably just getting absolutely reamed
Yeah.
on price. You know, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Yep.
So hey, this is Joey McDonald. I handle North Florida, and since you're speaking about AFL, my target is Tallahassee.
Yeah.
They've got some transmission projects in the pipe for this year. I think it's going to slip into next year, but I've started having the conversations about approval. So yeah, that's my target. The other thing that we talk about every time we have a meeting is the co-ops that have gone with Connexon, and I guess nothing's changed for us in that front.
No, it's yeah, pretty much the same as before. They've got their deal with CommScope, and honestly, Mike mentioned how CommScope's not even taking new orders. I guarantee you, a large part of that is because of Connexon. So yeah, and then also they're supplying Sterlight for their other projects that CommScope can't.
Yeah, and I've made our customers aware of that. That are dealing with Connexon. So at least they may be a little uncomfortable, even if we don't get the order, we can have an impact of some sort.
Yeah, you might want to ask one of those customers, say, have you been to the Sterlight plant?
Yeah, they had not heard any talk of that. So it was good information from you guys, and it made me look smart and us together look smart. So I've had conversations with those three co-ops. So
Tim, aren't you going to North Carolina?
I'm in North Carolina right now.
Can you stop by their plant and at least walk in or something?
Yeah. If I can find an address, I'll go swing by.
Why
It's
not?
in South Carolina.
you
It's
guys
in
hiring?
South Carolina, Tony.
South
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah,
in Western North Carolina, so I'm maybe 45 minutes from South Carolina.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we could take a play or page out of AFL's playbook and go there and take some pictures of an empty building.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the other attack that or tact that you could take with cooperatives working with Connexon is, hey, are these guys really doing stuff per code?
So I mean, for all intents and purposes, their projects have mostly gone off without too many issues. There's been a few people that they've gotten, a few companies that they've gotten fired from that really stemmed more down to how they operate and disagreements with how Connexon operates. But it's one of those things. I can say that I disagree with how they build, but the fact is they've still got a couple dozen cooperatives that haven't had any major issues. So it's more of a difference of philosophies than anything else. But again, now I will say there's some cooperatives. The big thing where they've got stung is the make ready. Connexon comes in and says, hey, we can install cable at $10 a foot, or call it $1,000 a mile. That's how much it's going to cost, which is all well and good. But what they tend to leave out is the fact that doesn't include any make ready. So when I was in Oklahoma, there was two cooperatives I talked to. One spent $6 million just in make ready to be able to go stranded lash before they even hung up one strand of fiber. So that is, that's the argument against them. But I think it's Connexon. They go in and they meet with the CEO before anybody else. So it turns into more of a politics game than X's and O's, if you will.
Yeah, they've developed a good formula. And they had the political connections in DC too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which is probably one of my big reasons. Like a lot of the RDOF money, there wasn't a strict Buy American standard on that, which is probably what allowed them to be able to supply Sterlight for that RDOF money.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about Sterlight is you're going to have the cheapest product around, so that's going to be attractive to a certain number of customers, and there's nothing you can do about that.
No, But on the plus side, it'll give us opportunity to come in and replace a bunch of jacked up fiber down the road that they've got up the year.
Yeah,
You know,
Tim,
most of the cable though, most of the cable don't experience a lot of extreme environment and extreme stresses in their normal operation. And for the most part, it's pretty benign, a lot of the installations. And so you really have to take cables out to where they really see some stress or strain before they start really failing. And that's where a lot of this cheap cable gets off without any problems.
Yeah, or they go to light a fiber and they can't go 10,000 feet without losing all of their lights. That has already happened from a small rural telephone cooperative in South Carolina. They bought a bunch of it and they went to go light the fiber, and the light couldn't travel from one end of the reel to the other.
That's a problem.
But Sterlite assured them that they had taken care of all their quality issues, so it's good.
Well, yeah, as long as you got their assurances, that's all you need.
That they cross their heart and everything.
Yeah, it's like the old OCC. You know, what's a good cable? One that doesn't come back in the door.
Yeah,
And if
Tim,
it does come back, just send them another one.
Tim,
Well,
you get the
hey,
pictures. We already got a sample from Sterlite, right, Mike?
Yeah, we have some samples of their cable. Hey, our time's about up, so I'll go ahead and close us out. I appreciate your guys' time and attention. We appreciate what you guys have done for us, especially at FPL. We're glad to support you at OUC or TICO or any of the other utilities that we haven't cracked in Florida yet. Please let us know how we can help you.
You guys have been great. We really appreciate your support.
Well, as we do you, the way you navigated some of the challenges of the past year is remarkable. So
Yeah, it is. It really is. Okay, well, you guys try to have a good week.
I appreciate all the help. It's
Thanks
good
a lot.
time.
Have a good one, guys.
Right.
bye.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Love Tony, love Theo.